Welcome to Dark Wolf Studios, and this is Star Wars Saga Edition Dawn of Defiance Solo. I will be playing through the pre-written level 1 through 20 campaign for the Star Wars Saga Edition. I will be using the campaign standards to build my character, as well as the ever-useful SagaForge Excel sheet and the Saga character and index sheets. Anything I reference will have a link down in the video description, so please feel free to check them out. I'll be using OneNote to track the adventure and as well as other notes. A couple other things to note: I am using the Matey Uppy Namey emulator and the Universal NPC emulator to generate characters and developments organically as I play. Once again, those links will be down in the description. In this episode, I'm going to be going through the character creation process. Whilst this is a more crunch-heavy episode, I feel it's important to show where the character statistics were generated. Now, let's go ahead and develop my character. I already know that I want to play as a Jedi Padawan who escaped Order 66 and is now on the run from the Empire. I'm going to use the campaign standards, which include using a point buy of 28 points and receiving max credits for first level. I am going to start play, however, as a second level character, just simply to augment the fact that my character is alone. I prefer the average hit point based on the dice, which is also part of the Dawn of Defiance standard. I'm going to jump over. Starting off, I'm going to select Miraluka as my race or species. Type in Dawn of Defiance here. That'll automatically preload the fact that it is a point buy system at 28 points. I'm also going to start in the Noble class. This, I think, will give my Jedi a variety of skills that'll help them survive in a galaxy that's out to hunt him down. Second level, of course, will be in Jedi to pick up that ever important lightsaber proficiency, as well as a few other talents. Let's jump over to the abilities. Go back to the character and species tab. I see this character is not a very physically adept, although he is an excellent duelist. So I'm going to keep his strength score at 8, and I'm going to put his dexterity at 14, which after species modifiers is going to drop it down to a 12. Constitution I'm going to set at a 13, same with intelligence. His species traits is going to bump that intelligence up to a 15, and then both wisdom and charisma I'll set at a 14. And that right there brings me up to my point buy of 28. Over to the Feats tab, I've only got one character feat available to me. And this one, given the fact that I'm playing as a Jedi, will obviously be Force sensitivity. Scroll down through all of the feats. Here we go. Switch that to a yes. Now, just as a reminder for the Miraluka species, I do receive Force training for free as long as I have Force sensitivity, which is a nice little bonus there. Jumping over to skills. First skill, obviously, use the Force. Gotta be able to do that. And then I'm going to pick up Knowledge Tactics. Now, I feel like the developers really kind of gave the knowledge skills the short stick, so I'm going to be using a series of house rules to make them a little bit better. One of these is the Benefits of Knowledge as written by Jonathan Stevens or Donovan Morningfire on the forums. I actually have a lot of house rules that I'm using that were created by him. I'll do another couple of videos, probably 3 or 4, on the different house rules I'm using, provided I can also find them within my own resource document. If you're following this and you're interested, please let me know and we can discuss this further. Also, if you find something that doesn't match the rulebooks exactly, reach out to me and I can explain the house rule behind that. Now I've still got 6 more skills to pick up. I'm going to pick up Deception and Persuasion. This will make me eligible for the talent that I want to have from the Noble class, and we'll go over that here in a moment. We're also going to pick up Perception. Got to be able to see what's going on around me to survive. Treat Injury makes sense. While you do get a minus modifier to your roll trying to treat your own injuries, it is going to allow me to at least keep myself alive for a little bit. Now I should just have 2 more here. Initiative, it's going to be a good choice. Keep 1 step ahead of the Empire. And then I'm going to pick up Pilot. Maybe there's a possibility that my Padawan flew with his Jedi Master during the Clone Wars. Moving over to the Talents tab. The only talent I am interested here is the Noble Fencing Style, which allows my Jedi to substitute Charisma for Strength on attack rolls with a light melee weapon or a lightsaber. This talent fits well with the idea that he's an excellent duelist, but maybe not the most physically adept Jedi as compared to others. Scroll down. It should be right in here. A little bit higher up. There it is. Scroll over. And in the SagaForge, you don't just hit yes, you have to state which class is taking that talent. Boom, there's that. That should take care of my first level, other than for force powers and for equipment. So we'll go back in and we'll do my multi-class here, which is just going to add my multi-class feat, which of course I said was lightsaber proficiency, and a new talent, which I'm going to pick up Clear Mind. And I'll go over that here in a moment once I find it. We'll talk about why this is such a good talent for this escapee Padawan. It allows me to re-roll any use the Force check to avoid being detected by other Force users. While I still have to accept the result of the roll even if it's worse, it does give me that ability that if I've rolled really poorly, maybe I can escape detection for 1 more day. Jump over to the Force tab now. Got 3 Force powers available to me. Having looked through them all, I want to pick up Energy Resistance. Give me a little bit of resistance to energy weapons, which of course includes blasters. Perhaps that explains how he survived the Clone Wars, and more especially Order 66. Now I'm really interested in the lightsaber force forms. I know that all of those are technically required to be used with a lightsaber. However, there are several of them that I feel like could be used with other melee weapons, provided you have proficiency that makes sense. One of those would be Draw Closer. I don't feel like it's entirely required for you to only have a lightsaber for that. You should be able to, as a Jedi, using the Force, use any melee weapon to make that useful. And then I'm going to take Makashi Repose. Again, because I believe that you should be able to do that with any melee weapon. This also plays into how I run my enemies. I play them very tactically. I give my stormtroopers stun batons and more stun weapons at the beginning because I believe that at the beginning levels, the stormtroopers may not necessarily be out to kill you directly. They're more interested in imprisoning you, finding out who your comrades are, turning you over to the ISB, and maybe turning you over to the Inquisitorius. But of course, as you level up and as you become a more dangerous threat to the Empire, a lot of those weapons are going to switch out for more deadly weapons as the orders switch from capture to kill. So that'll be really fun to play through. That house rule about being able to use force forms or lightsaber forms with non-lightsabers is something that I'll explore during a house rules episode, and I'll give it a try in game, and if I like it, I'll keep it. If If I don't, then I'll get rid of it. It's pretty easy to do. We'll jump over to languages. I've got 5 other languages that I'll know beyond basic and Merlukese. High Galactic sounds like a really good one, given the fact that I was a Jedi during the Clone Wars. Military Hand Sign, or Military Sign Language, however you want to describe that one, makes sense to me, given that he served during the Clone Wars. Huttese is always a good one for most players. I'm going to pick up Old Corellian. It's a little bit of a different language here. It's an older one, usually used by smugglers, if I remember correctly from the books. And then I'm going to pick up Binary. Got to be able to understand those droids. That's a huge thing there. Gives me a pretty broad spectrum of languages. I should be able to speak with most people pretty well, which is a good thing. Equipment is where things start to get a little more tricky. I'm going to give myself the lightsaber for free, and that'll give me about 4,800 credits to spare. I had thought about using the optional rule to allow Jedi to wear armor, found in the Jedi Academy training manual, but I've decided that right now armor is more likely to draw too much attention than my poor Padawan can take, especially if it's the armor that he started the Clone Wars with. Very, very distinctive. So we're actually going to skip right past armor and go to weapons. Obviously, the first weapon he's going to have, lightsaber. Gotta have it. And of course, we'll be using it two-handed. Maybe just one-handed. And then I'm going to give him a snap baton. It's a very similar fighting style, and it's a cheap lightsaber replacement. It's basically a poor man's lightsaber without the ability to cut through things. Doesn't deal quite as much damage as the actual lightsaber itself, but it is a good variant that can be used instead of just the lightsaber, especially in areas where the lightsaber is going to draw more attention. Final weapon, he's going to pick up a hold-out blaster pistol, give him something that he can hide, use a little to protect himself, hopefully not draw too much attention at the same time. One other thing with the lightsaber, he is going to have the componentization upgrade on the lightsaber, which gives him the ability to take it apart into 2 pieces that aren't obviously lightsabers. If you've watched the Star Wars Rebels TV show, Kanan Jarrus does this with his own lightsaber. I'm not going to give spoilers for shows like that that have since completed. If it's a spoiler to you, I apologize, but the show's been over for a couple of years. That's all of the weapons there. That's about 400 credits worth used up. So we'll jump over to other equipment. First thing he's going to have is his utility belt. The one that he had in the Clone Wars. It still serves him well. Inside he's going to have 4 med packs. He's going to have his toolkit, a power pack, 4 energy cells. This is what powers his lightsaber, or not his lightsaber, but his holdout blaster. Helps if I can spell. A glow rod, a comm link, a short range one, of course. Let's see, he's also going to have ration packs, about 10 days worth of rations. That should give him enough to survive for the short time. And then a liquid cable dispenser, which will dispense 15 meters of liquid cable. This one's easier to search for than to type. And he's also going to have a bracer computer that he used during the Clone Wars, and then a mechanical interface visor. Not entirely sure where he picked that up at, but he picked it up somewhere during the Clone Wars. And he also has a credit chip. All in all, this should leave him with about 120 credits remaining. So let's jump over, we'll take a look at his stat block really quick, and then we'll go over a few things and we will end this episode. So looking at the stat block here, he's a Noble 1, Jedi 1, Miraluka. He has 7 languages. His reflex defense is 14, his fortitude is 14, and his will defense is 16. He's got 26 hit points. His threshold is 14. He's got fairly decent melee abilities. Both of those are pretty good. His blaster's not bad. He'll be able to defend himself that way. One thing that I do need to clarify for everyone is the force sight. Miraluka are blind, but they can see through the force. They can act normally without taking penalties for blindness when in the presence of living creatures or life of any kind. This enables them to make perception checks and read and write as a sighted person. They can ignore the effects of darkness as if they had dark vision. They cannot, however, detect creatures that are invisible to the force, such as the Yuuzhan Vong or Ysilmiri. They have total concealment from the Miraluka, as they do creatures that in areas that dampen or suppress the force. Additionally, Miraluka ignores all penalties to perception checks from cover and concealment, but not total cover or total concealment. They do not increase the DC of use the force checks made to sense surroundings against targets with total cover. So that'll be useful in the future. Going over the force powers, draw closer allows me to pull a creature close to me, anybody within 6 squares, and make an attack. As the DC goes up, I can pull a larger creature to me, up to Gargantuan. Energy resistance allows me to gain anywhere from damage resistance 5 to damage resistance 20. It's a standard action, but I can spend a force point to do it as a swift action, which can be pretty useful. And finally, Makashi Riposte is a reaction when I'm targeted by a melee attack. I do a use the force roll against the attack roll. If I match it or do better, I take half damage and make a single attack against the target, and I deal half damage on a miss. And then I can spend a force point to take no damage from that incoming attack. This is it for this episode. It's been a really crunch heavy episode. Hopefully you enjoyed walking through creating this character mechanically, and it's inspired you to try something new next time you play. As we play through the adventure, we'll explore a little bit more of this Miraluka's background, where he came from, who he served under, and why did he survive Order 66. So we'll go over that in a future episode. I will always strive to give credit for the artwork, maps, and music that I use. If I don't give credit to your work, please contact me so that I can make the appropriate edits. Your rights as an artist matter to me, and I want to recognize you for your amazing efforts. Obviously, if I'm using your work, I enjoy it, so I want to make sure that people know where to find your work. I am looking for artwork, maps, and music for my channel. If you're interested in creating something with me, please reach out. We can talk price, styles, and content. I don't expect this channel to make me money hardly at all, but I do expect that if I'm going to commission artwork from you, or maps, or music, then I'm going to pay you for it. That's only fair. Music for this episode was created by Tabletop Audio. I highly recommend that you check them out and subscribe to their Patreon if you're interested in more of their work. I am one of their subscribers. their work is fantastic. I can't give it any higher praise. Um, and until next time, may the force be with you.